All right. Welcome, everybody. You've had a pretty exciting boundaryless event so far. Who's ready for some demos? Who's ready for some product demos that showcase the latest and greatest from Turing? Um, we have a chat session going. If you have any questions, you can answer there. But I'm just super excited to dive into some of our big product announcements at Turing's third boundaryless event, the spring edition. So if you remember when we started the keynote, I shared that the world has gone remote first, but there are three primary obstacles that stand in the way of companies that want to go fully remote. First, it's really hard to find Silicon Valley caliber talent that's remote. It's easy to find cheap remote talent. You can go to dev shops, you can go to a variety of other unmanaged platforms, but it's hard to find Silicon Valley caliber talent that's remote. Second, it's really hard to evaluate a remote developer just based on her resume. If you look at a developer from, say, Sao Paulo, Brazil, if you look at her educational background, you may not see Stanford, Berkeley. In her work experience, you won't see Google, Facebook, Stripe, etc. So how do you assess high quality talent? You can't just rely on words, you have to rely on code. So evaluating remote talent is hard. And third, if you ask any engineering manager, what's the hardest part about managing a remote developer? They'll tell you that it's, wait for it, communication. Often, thanks to time zones, communication can be hard. The right kind of daily communication, weekly communication doesn't happen. The right kind of performance management doesn't happen. And it can also be hard to deal with the logistics of paying a developer, dealing with, like, are they working? Are they working on the right things? And so on. Right? So three things. Finding Silicon Valley caliber talent that's remote is hard. Evaluating remote developers is hard. And then ongoing management of a remote developer can be hard. This is why we built Turing. Turing is creating a new category that we call Talent Cloud. It's a distributed team of developers in the cloud that's sourced by software, vetted by software, matched by software, and managed by software. It's a little bit like AWS for talent. Like with AWS, you could push a button and bring up machines in the cloud. With Turing, you can push a button and bring up elastic teams in the cloud. Our product vision is twofold. First, we want to help customers, companies, push a button to hire the best engineers in the world. Not the engineers who happen to live near your office, but the best engineers in the world. Second, we want to be the place for the world's best engineers to work at. We want the world's best engineers to have the world's best job opportunities, not the job opportunities that are within driving distance of their home. To realize this vision, Turing invests very, very heavily in an intelligent vetting platform, an intelligent matching platform, and an intelligent management platform. Today, in our product announcements, you're going to hear a lot about Turing's intelligent vetting. Turing builds what we call deep developer profiles. These are detailed, comprehensive, continuously updating representations of a developer's strengths and areas for improvement. Turing's Deep Developer Profiles, or DDP, evaluates a developer along three dimensions. The first dimension is based on job type. Turing evaluates developers for front-end, back-end, mobile, AI, data science, DevOps, and a variety of other job types. The second dimension is tech stack: React, Node, Angular, Python, Java, C#, and a variety of technologies. The third dimension is seniority and leveling. Turing was built by engineering leaders from Facebook, Google, etc. So we follow an engineering ladder very similar to Facebook and Google. We have IC3s, individual contributor level 3s, IC4s, IC5s, tech leads, tech lead managers, and so on. A junior developer might be capable of working on tasks. An IC4 can work on features, and IC5 can work and drive entire projects. So these are the three primary dimensions. And our automated vetting engine evaluates every developer for a Silicon Valley bar in about 4 to 6 hours. During that time, our AI-based vetting engine is evaluating the developer along a few dimensions like computer science foundations, like data structures, algorithms, things like that. expertise in specific tech stacks. For example, if this is a full stack developer, what is her level of competence or expertise in React, in a specific front-end framework like React, or a specific back-end framework like Node, or a specific database technology like, say, PostgreSQL. And we are also evaluating developers for systems design skill and their ability to proactively communicate and own projects. Turing is the first and only platform that evaluates developers also for non-technical behavioral signals that are important for remote work. Right? And Turing is doing all of this with automatically and leveraging a lot of data science and ML-driven insights. We built this deep developer profile based on our vetting, and then continuously update this deep developer profile based on actual on-the-job performance. Can you imagine when you're hiring an engineer, if you actually had access to the engineer's prior performance reviews that their engineering manager gave them? That's possible with Turing. So today in Turing's product updates, you'll see how we represent the developer as a deep developer profile. This is the world's best representation of a developer's actual strengths and areas for improvement. It's totally different from something like a resume or a LinkedIn profile, which is just words with people talking about what they did. With Turing, it's actually validated skills and validated work experience. So you're gonna see that deep developer profiles. Second, Turing makes the process of working with a remote developer secure. So you're going to see Turing's virtual machines in the cloud that help keep a customer's code IP confidential and secure. This is amazing. It's the equivalent of a virtual development environment in the cloud. So you're going to see some updates on that. And third, you are going to see Turing's self-serve platform live. This is Turing, where for a customer, going to Turing is a little bit like going to Amazon.com and buying what you would like. What if you could go to a website, push a few buttons, and hire your perfect engineer? So that's Turing self-serve. Self-serve is going to be huge, and you're going to see that announced and launched today. And finally, my co-founder, Vijay, who's our CTO and head of machine learning, is going to be sharing all the updates on how Turing uses AI and machine learning for intelligent vetting and machine learning-based ranking. We are building really rich representations of a developer's strengths and areas for improvement. And you're going to see how Turing uses machine learning to make evaluating a developer more efficient and matching a developer to the right job more accurate. I'm super excited for you to see all that. And we're going to have demos start 10 seconds from now. 10 seconds from now, you're about to see deep developer profiles, self-serve, Turing virtual machines, and finally, how Turing uses machine learning to build.
Thanks, Jonathan. Hi, everyone. I'm excited to share updates to Turing's deep developer profiles and post-match workspace and how they'll help you hire the best developers and manage them seamlessly across the world. Here's a glimpse at what we'll cover. As we all know, resumes can be misleading or ambiguous, wasting valuable time. Here's where Turing's deep developer profiles come in. They are detailed, comprehensive, continuously updating representation of our Turing developer. They only show validated skills, and they're enriched by on-the-job performance data. They show transparency around pre-vetted skills, seniority levels, live coding assessments, work history, and with a clean UI that surfaces relevant information immediately. We're able to standardize this at scale across tens of thousands of resumes in over 100 countries globally. We give you an objective view of a developer's skills, projects, work experience, and seniority based on real data coming from our platform instead of whatever a developer chooses to put into their resume. Now, if you're like most engineering leaders, successfully managing remote developers can be a challenge. You need tools to help you make working remotely as effective and secure as managing someone in your office. Turing Workspace makes remote collaboration easy and effective with its latest additions in scheduling time off, live chat support for developers, and our powerful new Turing Virtual Development Machine. With Turing Workspace, we're removing barriers in remote collaboration not yet achieved. With our workspace, your developers can easily communicate with you and effectively address any blockers. We have updated and created new features that help you stay up to date and unblock your developers as quickly as possible. Let's take a closer look and dive into deep developer profiles. If your experience is anything like mine, you're inundated by tons of resumes from recruiters and candidates. You don't have time to sift through all of that. You don't have any signal in a resume or profile beyond someone's English skills and their ability to market themselves. Resumes don't show validated skills. This is why Turing validates skills and technologies. We don't rely on what's in a resume or an online profile. We rely on 6 hours of rigorous vetting in specific technologies, systems design, and computer science foundations. We let the code speak, not words. With deep developer profiles, what you see is what you get. Dive deeper into actual technical assessments and get a window into true developer performance. Looking at a resume, it's nearly impossible to understand the actual engineering level of a developer. Where's the data to back any of it up? Turing automatically assesses the seniority level of a developer in line with a Silicon Valley engineering ladder inspired by Google and Facebook. Now, we give you even more data into our developers than ever before. We truly look deep into a developer's profile to give you their seniority level, and we break down what it means. It takes countless hours to perform technical screenings with developers. And even then, most are one-off point solutions, not tying into the bigger picture. In deep developer profiles, we're sharing direct access to live coding assessments where we measure coding and debugging abilities, as well as their coding style in 9 different programming languages today. No recruiter today is doing this, and it's completely bias-free. We don't care about gender or where you're from. Again, we let your code speak, not words. And because resumes are cluttered and hard to read as it is, we've also made other UI improvements, so information that matters most to you is more apparent. And now, I'd like to share more about updates in Turing Workspace. In a remote team, when everyone is working from multiple time zones, it's difficult to know when a developer needs time off and for how long. You simply can't keep track of everyone's national holidays or planned leave. Our scheduling system provides better communication between the developer and the client around scheduling time off. Now, you no longer have to guess about whether or not your developer needs a break. This enables you to keep your projects on track and moving smoothly, and you can worry less about your developer being out unexpectedly. Now imagine a developer runs into a problem outside of working hours. What if they need to solve this issue right away? Email is slow and asynchronous and can lead to costly delays. Turing's live chat gives developers instant access to our success team, unblocking them in a matter of minutes, not hours. Instead of juggling time off or following up on small issues, all of this is done automatically in the background, so you can focus on managing what matters most. Now, I'd like to talk about what I find to be the most exciting new addition to Workspace, and that's Turing Virtual Development Machine. In most cases, code is stored on a developer's local environment. So how do you ensure you have a backup plan for your IP? Also, it's really difficult to send devices across the world. Well, the Turing Virtual Development Machine stores your source code securely in the cloud, removing the need for developers to keep code on their local machine. And your IP is protected with best-in-class security practices by Google Cloud and Google Authenticator. And since developers' machines can be occasionally a bottleneck in development, Turing Virtual Development Machine will speed up coding as it's powered by Google Cloud, so it can be scaled to meet your performance requirements. Turing Virtual Development Machine makes it effortless to secure your IP and speed up machine performance as it's integrated into your workspace from day one. During our chat today, you've seen some amazing benefits of Turing's platform. To recap, deep developer profiles provide maximum transparency and reliability in vetting results. And you'll understand engineering levels like never before, so you know exactly where a developer stands. What you see is what you get. Live coding assessments let the code speak for itself, and you can walk away feeling assured you've hired the right developer for your role. Developers and clients can rest easy knowing that scheduling time off and unblocking on issues are handled in the background. And you'll sleep better knowing that your IP is more secure with a Turing Virtual Development Machine, and you can even provision a supercomputer for your developer if she deserves it. Thanks for joining me today. Over to you, Char.
Thank you, Reverse. Today, we're excited to introduce you to a brand new product that gives you instant access to our global pool of beta developers. It also helps you find exactly the kind of developers that you're looking for. We call it self-serve. Self-serve is the AWS for talent. Imagine a founder in front of her laptop. She can quickly set up her engineering team in the same way that she can set up her servers on AWS. Self-serve makes it that simple. You make one quick call to our sales team, answer a few qualifying questions, and you get immediate access to the self-serve product. Now, you're ready to start reviewing engineers suited to your specific needs and start picking the ones that you like. All of this takes less than 5 minutes. Let me show you how this works. Let's say you need a React Node developer. On the upper left-hand corner here, you've got a list of the various skills that you may need. For our example, you simply click on React and Node, and the tool brings up a list of currently available React Node developers. We call it instant access. You can browse the list and get a quick look at each developer's experience and skills. Here, Chandler looks pretty interesting, but I want to get an in-depth understanding of the developer's background. So what do? I click on Chandler for a detailed report card that we call a deep developer profile. Let's see how Chandler scored on his React and Node tests. As a hiring manager, I can find out what parts of a React and Node he's strong in and weak in. So far, he looks pretty good. You can also find out how senior he is compared to the standards of Silicon Valley engineers. But how did he perform in his previous jobs? You can scroll down and see what skills he used at his previous workplaces and how he used those skills. Wow, I want to talk with Chandler, but is Chandler available right now? To find out, you look right here, and Chandler's ready to start right away. When you're ready to take the next step with a particular developer, you just click here and type in when you're available to conduct an interview. You can also include any specific questions that you have for the developer or Turing in general. Press submit and you're done. Typically, you will receive an interview invitation within 24 hours. Turing's new self-serve is an immediate and simple way to get a very comprehensive picture of the developer's experience, background, tested capabilities, and how they compare to other developers. All of the information that you need to make a hiring decision for your project or job is right here in this product. In fact, in the first week of our beta launch, customers hire engineers in as little as 2 days. If you're losing a lot of time finding engineers, email us at partnerships@turing.com and ask for self-serve. You can be part of the exclusive batch of our first customers. The need for speed in hiring? without compromising quality is one of the consistent pieces of feedback that we have received from our customers. That's why we developed this tool, and we're very excited to have you guys try this out. Back to you, Jonathan.
Hello, everyone. I am Vijay Krishnan, founder and CTO at Turing. I lead data science and machine learning efforts here, and my team works closely with our engineering teams to leverage AI and data science methods to build the world's most advanced vetting and matching system to match global talent with global opportunity. So today I'll be giving you some updates on our progress over the last couple of years, what we have shipped lately, and what will be coming later this year. So let me first start off with this high-level view on what we have been up to year on year. As you know, the staffing industry as a whole, the status quo is to do everything very, very manually. And Turing, of course, has been very, very automated right from day one, be it in our sourcing process, in our vetting process, or our matching process. Back in 2019, of course, when we were barely starting out, we didn't have a lot of exciting customer data, a lot of data relating to developers' performance in various tests and everything. So good data science and machine learning was still some distance away, and we had to mostly rely on intuitions, fast iterations, and so on. In 2020, we had much more data than before, and we got into a position where we were able to make rapid enhancements to our tests, our matching algorithms, and everything based on some high quality data science insights. But we were still not quite generating the volume of data needed to build full-blown ML models that could blow away any kind of data insight-based heuristics. In 2021, things have changed very, very significantly as we have continued to grow rapidly after our Series B. We are currently signing up 100,000 new software developers every month. And that, of course, means a lot of activity around them taking tests, a lot of activity around them getting matched with customers, and so on. So this year, we are on track to build ML-guided automated sourcing, ML-driven vetting, as well as ML-driven matching. And I'll go into more details on all of this. This is a high-level view of what we have done so far and what we'll be doing later this year. And I will be speaking about this at the very end in some more detail. The two bolded points are what I'll be speaking about in more detail because those are the things that we have already shipped. Let me first get to the problem of predicting developer match likelihood at the top of the funnel. So as you heard from some of the previous speakers, ultimately a big chunk of our secret sauce is in our vetting process and the fact that we are able to build deep developer profiles. But that said, even if we can do better than the baseline of maximum entropy and the baseline of assuming that all 100,000 developers are equally likely to get matched, that can still help us unlock a lot of tremendous efficiencies. So in other words, if we could tell that certain types of developers were a lot more likely to pass our tests and then get matched to our customers successfully, we could then micro-target those developers, and a lot of ML-driven ad exchanges are perfectly capable of learning from those kinds of training examples. Additionally, these can also help us massively improve our operations ROI by focusing some of our operational bandwidth on developers that are more likely to get placed. So we built and shipped an ML model in the last couple of months, and we were able to make a 6x improvement to the kind of precision we were, the baseline level of precision, and at 90% recall. In other words, we are able to predict ahead of time that 90% of future matches we make between developers and customers will come from roughly about 1/6 of the whole developer pool. This is, of course, very valuable for all the reasons I just mentioned to you. And when we sought out to make advances toward this project, we didn't quite know that this much upside existed. Here, we only use features that are collected within minutes of a developer signing up. So this would be a lot of features to do with where a developer signed up from, what is on their resume, whether their skills are in line with what our customers want, and so on. More of a sort of preliminary sanity check of sorts. Then another problem where we actually shipped an ML solution only earlier this week was the problem of what we call ML computed skill percentiles. So in other words, here the problem is the following, that we want to effectively rank different developers on the same scale, even if they have taken very, very different subsets of questions. Now, the advantage to being able to do this well is this allows us to operate off a large question bank, improve questions over time, drop questions, add new ones should we come upon new information. And needless to say, this also allows us to avoid cheating. This allows us to do other sorts of things like predict how a developer would have answered a question that they never even attempted, and effectively fill those missing values, which allows us to make for good matches. This is very, very foundational to learning good quality developer to vector representations from many features. And this again is going to be critical to doing a lot better by way of matching recommendations. This is also foundational to building adaptive tests that can directly optimize for information gain per unit time. At some level, we think of every test as an exercise in eliciting the maximum possible information pertinent to whether or not a developer will get matched to our customer and what kind of the job they might be most suitable for, and doing that in the minimum amount of time. So models like this that can tell us ahead of time if the expected information gain by way of moving of the various latent skills, it will be high enough by asking one more question in a specific area. Now, back to the point of why is this even an ML problem? Why can't we just go about computing developer scores and comparing them directly? Well, we run into the obvious difficulty that different developers answer very, very different subsets of questions. Some of them may answer disproportionately hard questions. Some of them may answer disproportionately easy questions. And consequently, those scores don't calibrate very well. Then that begs the question of, can't we compute the difficulty of a question based on the percentage of developers that answered it correctly? Well, it turns out we can't do that either, because the percentage of developers that get a question right depends not just on the difficulty of question, but it also depends on the competence of the developers that did attempt the question. Fortunately, our product now generates more than 5 million new developer question pairs every month. And this serves as an excellent source of trained data for an ML solution. So this is a brief description of our solution. We learn the variables jointly via an ML model. We model the probability of a developer getting a question right as a function of the underlying latent developer skill variable and the underlying latent difficulty variable of a question. So in effect, what we are doing is we are fitting a sigmoid function with this specific characteristic. Now, as you can see from the graph below, this is what the sigmoid function looks like when x is goes to x goes to infinity. The function goes to 1. In other words, if the score is very high, we think the probability of the developer getting any specific question right is almost 1. If it goes to minus infinity, it goes to 0, which means the odds of the developer getting that question right go to 0. So we model it in this way, since higher the learned developer skill score, the higher the likelihood of the developer getting any specific question right, and higher the difficulty variable of a specific question, the lower the odds of a developer getting that specific question right. We learn the parameters with gradient descent and maximum a posteriori, or also called map estimation. And we, needless to say, we are already in the process of launching some matching system improvements this week, and which will continue for a good part of this quarter to leverage these better quality developer skill variables. I'll speak a little bit about some of the other things that are coming up this year as well. I already spoke about the first 2 points here. Now, in addition to this and its obvious impact on improved developer matching, another thing we'll be modeling is the developer motivation. So today, in order to match a developer to a specific job, we need to model two things. We need to model their competence for the job, their interest in opting for a specific job with one of Turing's customers at a specific point in time, as well as their interest in that specific job. Now, there are a lot of other data points Turing collects regarding their activity on Turing, their response to previous or similar jobs before on our platform, and so on. And we think this gives us, again, a lot of rich data with regard to predicting the developer motivation probability, and which will be an integral part of the match ranking function itself. Additionally, we will also be rolling out a machine learning driven relevance feedback system for customer preference elicitation. Today, the problem with the hiring process is a lot of jobs look basically the same. It is very hard to tell from the JDs of different companies that they have very, very different underlying thesis regarding hiring. Individual managers have a very different idea of what it means to be an effective developer on their team. Different projects need different things, and so on. I think the different people gel well in different teams. So what we'll be launching later this year is a relevance feedback system, which basically is an active learning machine learning system. The sort of system where, based on a customer's queries, we build a certain representation of what the customer wants, but then our system automatically shows the 3 most likely developers to the customer, elicits their feedback, then immediately re-updates weights relating to the representation of the customer's job, shows other options, and so on, and consequently saves a lot of valuable time in terms of communication and customer preference elicitation. Then we also expect to be learning richer developer-to-vector representations from a whole bunch of different features to do with resume, GitHub, a whole subset of tests. We will that type of representation will also leverage the fact that a lot of different skills are highly correlated with one another. Today, for example, it is no surprise that the Spearman rank correlation coefficient between any two tests at Turing is well over 50%. So the Spearman rank correlation coefficient can go anywhere from minus 100% to plus 100%, and it is a huge positive, because ultimately we know that there is something, some notion of being a good developer in addition to just being a good React developer or a good iOS developer. Then as I already spoke a little bit before, we also expect to be rolling out an adaptive testing process. And we also expect to be optimizing matching in a more global sense and not just in a local sense. In other words, suppose a developer has both certain rare skills as well as common skills, we would, among other things, avoid matching that developer to jobs that leverage his or her common skill. All right, that's all for now. Thank you.